Hi! Every time it's YouTube. Every single time. I think it's working now. My mic is a little hot. Sorry. I had to change things again. Hi! Hopefully all of the chats are working. I can see Owncast. Owncast always works. Hello, Ghost of Bonafell. Nice to see you. Oh, yeah. Hi, how you doing? We're back doing the puppet building thing. I'm doing, of course, the opening coffee drink, which is, I guess it's like the Mr. Rogers sweater change, only my version of it, so. Hope you're doing good out there. We're gonna just chill for a bit, let people filter in if they see the chat is live. I'm also gonna get the requisite lozenge, of course. Let me know how the audio levels are, because I had to, of course, you can pretty much now count on me completely reinstalling the OS between streams. That's just how it goes now. That's not always true, but it was true in this case. I actually have switched my distros again because I'm a Linux user and I'm sick, so it's just how it goes in the Linux world. Yeah, but everything looks okay. I think we're fine. I mean, the stream seems to be holding up at least. That, the actual Linux part of it didn't fail. It's just the YouTube part of it that fails. What a surprise. Starting the stream on an anti-corporate social media rant. Again. I gotta really start. I have some ideas for a video essay series that I want to do, where I can basically just get all that stuff out of my system, because there's no podcast anymore, so I need some place to put that. I don't think it'll work. I don't think I'll stop talking about it other places too, so I don't know, get used to it. We could all use a bit less slop in our social media, can't we now? Touch grass, etc. I hope you all are doing well. The frog in the background. Did I hear distro hopping? Good. Good joke. That's a very, I might steal that. That's a very Muppet appropriate joke. That is, if Jim were alive today, that would be a joke that gets used on the Muppet, whatever the current Muppet production is. That's very well done. Thank you. And welcome. Owncast is popping off as usual. Love it, love it. Yeah, so what are we doing today? More puppet building. As always, doing another Live Hands Monster. We did a Live Hands Monster last week, and we're doing another one this week. The puppet came from that indie developer. Sadly, not real puppets, just made in the Unreal Engine. They look like real puppets. I did see that eventually. I intentionally avoided, because I'm between podcasts this year. I hope to do another one at some point, but I'm not currently doing one. Yeah, Punch Out with Puppets, basically. I can't remember what it's called. It felt something, there was some felt. Again, it's not felt. Anyway, I intentionally avoided the Jeff Keighley wankery, because I'm just like, I can't stand him. Anyway, I didn't have to watch it because I'm not covering it for anything, so I didn't. And then I saw the screenshots later. Somebody shared them on some socials and tagged me, of course. So yeah, I have seen it. It looks interesting. Interesting concept. I worry that it's going to tip over into the adult puppetry thing that I'm not a huge fan of, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to spend the next, after it comes out, I'm going to spend the next little while just correcting people about the felt thing, aren't I? Felt that boxing is the name of the game. Thank you. Yes. I mean, fleece that boxing wouldn't be. You know what? Actually, that's not too bad. You can tell they didn't consult me. They should have. But anyway, yeah, puppet building, huh? I hadn't originally planned to shoot a another tutorial video this week. I wasn't sure where I was going to be at this stage of the build by the time I did the live stream, but it turns out I'm at a point that the stuff I'm going to do today would just happen to make a good tutorial video. So we're going to shoot another one of those today, in which case this should work now. In fact, let's test. Before we there we go. We can change scenes and the chat is still hidden. I can show it again. I fixed the chat enforcing itself on the screen when it wasn't supposed to. I just switched into a different. It's a nested scene now as opposed to an instance in every scene. So anyway, technical stuff. My mic still looks a bit hot to me. I can't tell. Really, it's unreliable. It looks about right, and then every now and then it peaks into the. I gotta up my compression. I'm not as compressed as I should be. But yeah, so we are going to shoot another tips, tricks, and tutorials video. I haven't finished. I barely started editing the one that we shot last week, so that's going to require more editing than normal because of the mess ups. Sounds fine. Okay, good. We'll leave it then. If it doesn't sound hot, you know, I'll listen to it on the playback, and I mean, by then there's nothing I can do about it. But if you record hot, that's it. There's nothing you can do after that. But since we are going, we've only been going for 10 minutes. We can get it. Hey, Indieski, is YouTube being stupid? It was being stupid. I think it's working now. I mean, I can see you, so in theory, it should be working. You let me know if it's working consistently, because that's the other thing. Sometimes it just decides to stop working, and I don't know, because it's YouTube. And they have so much money, they don't need to care. So, which is the lesson for us all, is it not? Yeah, good. Okay, yeah, I can see you. So, yes. And this also should work. And I can still see chat, so I can see what's happening. The button works properly now. Everything, I literally have reinstalled the OS. I changed, if you want to know, I was running CachyOS because I am a member of that new cult. I like CachyOS a lot, and I was running it on the studio PC. I'm running it on my Office desktop right now, and I really like it. So I decided to install it here. And then the thing about an Arch-based distro, I don't know, most of you don't even care about this, but I'm going to talk about it anyway because it's me. Arch-based distros update often, right? So you at least once a day you have to do an update. And that was a little more maintenance that I want to do on the studio PC. So I ended up going with the Zeit, which is Fedora-based, and it has a nice balance of cutting-edge stuff and also like stability, right? So less experimental than an Arch-based thing. So this should be good to go for a while. I will only update when I feel the need to update, rather than like every day like you do with an Arch distro. So anyway, that's the TLDR, but why I reinstalled absolutely everything again. It's a good thing I have simplified the OBS setup for this, because now it doesn't take much to get it up and running again, which is good. But we should probably go over the puppet building stuff that we're doing today. Let me show you. I'm gonna move the mouse out of the way so I don't accidentally click on stuff. How about there? And let's go to the wide cam, and hopefully this shot will be okay. Yeah, it looks all right. So here's where we're at with this critter. If you saw the new Mac OS, you'd be 10 times happier to use. Look, not only have I not seen the new Mac OS, I'm intentionally avoiding it. I'm selling all of I used to be a Mac user. I just sold my Mac Studio. I'm in the process of selling my Mac laptop. and I'm about to put my iPad up for sale as well. I have to stick with the iPhone for now, but that's it. After that, I'm out. I had to kill live streams with our new house. The internet sucks and my OBS knowledge is lacking now. Oh no, that's not good. I can help you with the OBS part at least. Believe me, I know OBS inside out. All right, anyway, puppets, huh? So here's where we are. This is a little something different from what I usually do, as you can tell. So what this is gonna be, although I know it looks like a Wookiee and can very easily be a Wookiee. In fact, at some point, maybe. The new macOS UI is terrible. Good to know. Yeah, of all of the big, corporate options, macOS had remained the least terrible for the longest, but even they are starting to dip into the enshootification, to use a family-friendly term, of things, and I'm just out. I am totally happy on Linux. It does everything I want, everything I need, so. And I'm enjoying it. So that's the TLDR. All right, anyway, puppets. I gotta focus. So what this is gonna be, a while ago I did some gray aliens. Oh no, see, look at this. You're proving the point. It's a Twitch bot. The only message on Twitch right now is a Twitch bot. Of course. Can I ban them from this thing? Well, I can delete the message. User actions block. There we go. And notification. Thank you. Indy, you are correct. It is indeed a Sasquatch. Thank you for getting us back on track. This is going to be a Sasquatch. So I did some gray aliens a while ago, and the conversation led to me going, you know what, I'm just going to do a whole line of crypto critter stuff. And this is going to be a Sasquatch. I actually had a client get in contact with me about doing a Sasquatch build that, thank you. Yeah, TwitchBot is also wrong. Best viewers are on Homecast. Well done. Well done indeed. So yes, Sasquatch, huh? I had a client get in contact, or potential client get in contact with me about doing a Sasquatch build that was considerably outside of my usual wheelhouse. Really what they want is more realistic. Like you would need more of a creature builder than a puppet builder for this thing. But we talked about it, and so we came to the conclusion that's like, well, I saw their concept art, and it was really nice, and I like it a lot, but it was really outside of my sort of usual style and the stuff that I do. So I said, look, here's the thing. I was thinking of doing a Sasquatch anyway. I like this design, but let me do my own take on it, and I'll make the puppet, and if you like it, it's yours. If you don't, it goes up on the shop. And they said, yeah, that sounds good. So that's where we are with this. It's a bit of a hybrid design-wise. So what we're doing at the moment, we're pretty close to being done here. I got to make the body insert. Yeah, there's nothing in here. This is just fabric. But we're going to start working on the face today. And we are going to do, now you can see this is using my new eyebrow mech that doesn't require the eyes to be in there to mount it. It's ready to go. So we can do anything we want with the eye region. You're more Muppetish. Leave it alone. Yeah, I know, really. No, you know what, that's fine. Like anything, you can even say like inspired by, and that's still fine. That's still within the realm of a legally protected speech, quote unquote, at least for the moment. Who knows tomorrow, but yeah, anyway. The whole thing about Disney suing Midjourney, talk about torn. It's one of those let them fight situations. It's like, well, they're both evil. I don't know. This is one of those things that, well, it doesn't really matter who wins. Like, we lose. So, anyway. Excuse me. So, I'll bet that went hot. Sure did. So what I'm doing with this, what we're gonna end up with, The best way I can describe it is like a 1960s, 70s inspired Planet of the Apes design, where there's kind of like, you can see the skin under the fur, and there's a kind of a clearly defined area where there's going to be skin under the fur, and you can see we're going to have some orange skin under that. So basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be mapping out a kind of almost goggle-shaped area under the eyes here and around the eyes, where I'm going to put fleece. And I don't know, I haven't decided if I'm going to sew it or if I'm going to glue it. I'll probably end up sewing it just because it's going to be a little bit more controlled. It'll take more time, but I would prefer to not get glue around if I don't need to. In which case I'll just ladder stitch it. Let me tell you, ladder stitching against fur, oh, that I will not be live streaming because I will be swearing a lot, and it goes very, very slow. But what we need to do first is we need to pattern this out. We need to do some flat patterning. And in order to do that, we're going to do some very simple paper towel patterning, which I have done on stream before, but not that much. And that's the part that I realized, oh, you know what, this would actually make a good, this should be better centered, here we go. That would make a good tutorial video, is how to do simple flat patterning on an existing base. So that's what we're gonna do today. Fun. And then we'll kind of go from there, and I'll show all of the steps that I usually do to do a paper towel patterning, which is not something I've seen very much of. I know BJ Geyer talks about it in the courses that he shot for the Stan Winston School of Character Arts, which is where I learned it. So I hope BJ doesn't mind me passing on this knowledge. It is very simple. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody just sort of thought of it themselves and stumbled on it. It's one of those kind of obvious things when you think about it. But yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing today. Some simple paper towel patterning, flat patterning against an existing puppet to add something external on, an applique, if you will, to use a slightly pretentious term. So that is what we're doing today. And then after I shot the actual tutorial video, we'll see where we are time-wise and go from there. Because there's more stuff, because the pattern that I'm going to be using to do the skin applique is also going to be used to do the fleece that goes over the top, and then I have to start stitching it in. There's also, let me go back to here, wrong thing. So what we're doing on the tutorial video is this sort of goggle-shaped area around the eyes. There's also going to be a kind of trapezoidal-shaped nose that goes in here as well. I'm going to be doing the same kind of thing for that. I haven't fully decided how I want to do the nose yet, so we're going to leave that. I'm going to leave that for like later today or tomorrow. So that's what we're doing there, but there is going to be more on this. It's actually going to be sort of a whole face area, how this ends up. And like I said, the one design, I should have had like a screenshot or something, that I keep coming back to in my head is the 1960s and 70s Planet of the Apes, where it was very much like there was a real defined area of skin versus the fur, right? That's kind of where we're going with this. So yeah, fun and interesting. This is slightly different than my usual design language, as it were, and I like it a lot. That's one of the things that this new eyebrow mech style has really allowed me to do. I mean, we saw it last week with that Live Hands monster. This is going to have a similar kind of just black bead eyes. It may actually be considerably smaller than what I'm thinking, but we will see. Again, the eyebrow mech lets me kind of play around with stuff, see what I like better. Yeah, this is not going to have Muppety eyes. This is going to have a much more of a glass eye kind of look, similar to the one we did last week. So yeah, we should probably get on with it then. 10:22, yeah. I will finish my coffee. I will take a lozenge. I will also blow my nose, which means I have to mute the mic, and the mic is still The control panel is still mounted on the wall, so I have to stand up and go over there to do it, but let's do that. So graceful and elegant. Oh, okay. I love the fact that the one Twitch message we got was on a freaking bot. It's like the Yeti monster from Doctor Who were cute even though they were supposed to be scary. Nose blowing ASMR, yeah. Yeah, I don't know the Yeti monster you're referring to. I regrettably am somewhat unknowledgeable about Doctor Who. I know a bunch of the classic stuff, but I don't know. The Yeti isn't in the database. I'm not a bot. Hi everyone, Shep the Bot. Nice to see you. Hi. Nice to see an actual human on Twitch. For a change, am I right? Yeah. All right, we should probably get on with this. So, what I'm gonna be doing is the same thing I tried to do last week and failed, although it should work this week. I'm gonna hide the chat just for shooting the tutorial video. I can still see the chat, so don't worry, I won't miss anything. But you will miss seeing each other's messages if you're on different platforms. Oh well. Everybody should just go to the Oncast server. Who said that? Yeah, so I'm gonna hide the chat and start the tutorial video and just fumble my way through it as usual. What do you think? I got a script? Give me a break. And we'll just sort of go from there and see how it goes. Okay. Chat. Going away. In 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to another tips, tricks, and tutorials video. This is being shot during a live stream, but hopefully the chat will remain hidden this time. We'll see. And this time we're doing something that I think can be really instructive for a lot of people. And it is a very simple technique that I think can be applicable in many situations, and that is paper towel flat patterning. So the best way to illustrate what this is, if you don't know, is to just actually look at the thing we're working on. So let's go to, boom, boom, here we go. So this is going to be a Sasquatch, and what I'm going to do with it here, because I'm using this new style of eyebrow mech, I don't have to mount this with the eyes. I can put the eyes on afterwards. So I'm taking that opportunity to do a kind of insert. There's going to be fleece inside here in a kind of goggle shape. That's immaterial to what the tutorial is, but that's just sort of explaining what we're doing here. Now, in order to decide where am I going to trim the fur, how am I going to get this even, I'm adding something on externally. That's what the flat patterning with a paper towel is for. This is really good if you need something that you didn't really plan on. The places where this would be useful is like just adding anything external onto a build that you weren't exactly sure what the shape is going to be until you get the base built. So a really good example is like a beard or a hairline, mustache, anything that's going on externally that you couldn't pattern out when you actually made the pattern for the puppet. This is a really good place that this technique would come in handy. And it's really simple. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna lay some paper towel over the surface and roughly draw on the paper towel what the shape of the thing is. Then we're gonna take that paper towel, true it up, so make it even and make it clean, and then make our pattern from that and go from there. So that's basically it. So we should probably just get right to it. This in theory should be a quick one. So we'll just see how much talking I do, but anyway. So I'm gonna say about, hopefully you can see everything you need to see here. So to start with, we're just gonna look at sort of the shape of the puppet. Now in this case, I have a bit of a helper because the shape I want to end up with around this eye region is basically kind of the shape of the brow mech already. So we can kind of follow this as a guide for what shape we want to be. And that goes for both the closed and the open, right? Because that's basically the entire surface that we want to cover with fleece. If you don't have that, it's still fine. You can still use this technique. You'll just be kind of freehand drawing it. But that's all. I'm just going to use this as a helper guide. So, to start with, we've got to have a whole bunch of pins. And we've got to have some paper towel, obviously. Now, we won't need much. There we go. And I'm even going to cut that down a little bit. We want to make it relatively tidy. So let's see how much we're going to need here. Okay. Now the first thing we're going to do is just pin the paper towel around the area that you're going to be working on. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm pushing the eyebrow mech to the very top and laying this down around there. So I'm going to pin the paper towel onto the puppet in a couple places, and I'm going to want to move this brow mech in a minute. So I'm not going to pin it too much up here, but I will around the bottom. We just want to secure the paper on the surface and make sure you try and lay it flat, or as conforming to the surface of the puppet as possible. Okay, so to start with, now we're going to want to draw on this paper towel. Now, what I'm going to use is just a Sharpie marker, largely because it will show up on the camera, hopefully. I can do that in this case because this is very dark fur. Now, the thing you have to remember here, and this is very important. In fact, let's go to this camera just to make sure that you get this. Yes, I am using a marker. Be very careful here because paper towel is very, very thin. And of course, if you draw in marker on a paper towel, it will soak through to the other side. So if you're going against fleece, this will mark up the fleece. In which case, what you want to do is try and get, if you're going to use a marker, which is good because you can you don't have to press as hard. You can use like a pencil or something. That would be the best. If you have a soft pencil, that will work really well. But if you don't, you can use a marker, but try and find a marker that will match the color of the fleece at the very least, in case it does soak through. You want to go very light on the drawing. If you want, you can also double up on the paper towels, although that's not going to protect you too much, but it will protect you a little bit. But just be cognizant of the marker soaking through. You do not want to mark up the surface of the puppet. In this specific case, I should be fine because, as you can see, it's very dark fur. The reason that we're doing this is because we're marking out the area that we want to shave down. So even if it does get marked up, it's still fine because it's going away anyway. So that's how we're approaching that. But that is the one major caveat to be aware of. The marker will soak through paper towels. Be careful not to mark up your puppet because this is like going on the outside of a finished base, right? So be very aware of that. That is the tip there. Now, hopefully you'll be able to see this. I might be able to pull the camera a bit closer. Let's see. Forgive the somewhat shaky cam. That's pretty much it. That's probably as close as we're going to get. But hopefully you'll be able to see this. So I'm going to start, like I said, I've got this helper here, so I might as well use it by just tracing out the outline of, can you see that? Yeah, good. Looks good. Roughly the outline of that brow mech. And basically we just want to mirror it. In this case, again, this all depends on what you want to do. If you're making a beard, you would draw it in the beard shape. If you're doing a hairline, you would draw it in the shape of the hairline that you want. But I'm not even sure I should bother doing this because I can kind of eyeball that, as it were. So we know that here and here are the kind of extents of it. So let's just come down. And don't worry about get it as even as you can, but don't worry about being too fussy about that. Just kind of sketch it in. We're going to true it up in a second. One thing you do want to try and do is see if you can mark a center line. It's always helpful. But that's kind of it. That's where we're at with that. And like I said, this will all depend on the materials and the technique you use for drawing on the paper. Honestly, if you have a soft pencil that you don't have to press hard on the paper, that would be the best because that's not going to soak through. Anything with ink, is going to soak through. But now that we've got that, what we're going to do is unpin it. And this is can be a trial and error process. So we're going to take it off, cut it out, lay it on there and see if it looks right. If not, we'll take another shot. All right, so here we go. Let's go to, see if this will work. Now, hey, look at that. That's pretty good, actually. So here we go. As you can tell, this is already quite uneven. This is what we're going to do next. We're going to true it up. Now, thanks to my unevenness, you can see that this side is much bigger than this side. What I'm going to do, this is a kind of standard rule of thumb for me, is, sorry, Mighty Quinn is messaging me on YouTube. Hello, nice to see you. Thank you. We're shooting a tutorial video at the moment, so that's why the chat isn't on screen. I can even, there you go. Hello, Mighty Quinn, nice to see you. Just FYI. I will be editing that out. Anyway. So as you can see, this side is much bigger than this side. Standard rule of thumb is I always go for the bigger side first because you can always make it smaller. You can always take stuff away. It's much harder to add stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at our center line here and kind of just eyeball a fold. I'm going to fold it along the proposed center line. Okay. And now I'm going to cut this out, but just the one side. And obviously we're cutting through both sides. This is what's going to true up the pattern. It's going to make it, symmetrical and even on both sides. So there we go. And now we have a nice even pattern, as you can see. So to go from there, what we're going to do, let's go back to the wide cam, get our Sasquatch up here. So let's lay this in and see what orientation looks good, see if this is about what we're looking for. Yeah, that's not too bad, actually. It's a little bit large, but that's also, remember, in this case, what we're doing is we're marking out the area that we're going to shave down the fur. So it's okay to go a little bigger because what we're going to be doing from this point is putting pins to mark the area and then shaving it down. So if you're happy with that, and I am relatively happy with this, it is a little bit too wide on the sides. Maybe we'll trim that down a little bit. See, this is where you can just start finessing it and making it a little bit more even. Let's go back to the top cam. I know there's a Sasquatch in the foreground, as the kids say. Where did my scissors go? What did I do? No, they're under the Sasquatch, of course, as scissors often are. So there will be a nose, Jojo, eventually. And hello, yes, I saw you. I'm shooting a tutorial video at the moment, so that's just why I'm kind of not really paying attention to chat, although I am seeing it. Here, look. See? You are here. I can see you. So there will be a nose. This is going to be a kind of eye region. Think a Planet of the Apes style, kind of a thing like that. So here we go. We're going to take this, we're going to fold it back to make sure it's even. And because this kind of went a little too far, I just want to trim this up a little bit. Little off the sides, as it were. There we go. And now we'll just have a look at that. See how that go. And you can see it's got an interesting contour. It's a little bit like shaped differently. I think this part looks better. It's kind of wider, looks better on the bottom. I think that's where that will go. Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, we good. Okay, and see, it's gonna look good because what we're gonna do is when the eyelids go on here, they're gonna kind of match the contours of this and be nice and symmetrical and everything. So yeah, that's good. Okay, we're gonna go with that. So next, let's go to the top cam here. So now that we've got this, we know what our pattern is gonna be. We have to make it in a slightly more robust form. Let me see if I should have prepared for this. You'd think, knowing that I was gonna do this. Hey, look at that, I did prepare. Take some cardstock. You can use anything you like. A lot of people use like manila envelopes. I like cardstock. I just happen to have a lot of it. Oh, you know what? Hey, Frankie, edit this part out. Now that Quinn has asked, this is probably a good time to announce. Yes, so Quinn has asked, am I doing a Pride build this year? Yes, I am in fact doing a Pride build this year. It will be next week. Not only I know when I'm building, I know what I'm building, and I know who the charity is going to be. So it's going to be next week, well, all week, but there will be another build stream. The Baba Builder, hello, what are you building today? We'll get to that in a second. So yes, there will be a Pride build. It'll be next week. The live stream will be next week at this time at 10 a.m. Eastern. It will be a human character in the colors of the trans flag. And the charity this year is going to be, for some fairly unfortunately obvious reasons, Rainbow Railroad is who I have selected for the proceeds from the sale of the puppet that I build during the Pride build. Will be donated to Rainbow Railroad. So there we go. That's how we are doing that, and it will be next week. And hopefully, y'all can join me. And yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be good. Nice positivity for a change, and a little hope. You know, we could all use it. Thank you. Yes. Okay, back to the tutorial. There we go. There's your little interlude for that. I'm gonna hide the chat again. Okay, back to the top cam. So, wow, this really blended in, huh? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna get some cardstock. We're gonna make this in a slightly more sturdy form. Why am I using a pointer all of a sudden? It just seemed appropriate. I'm gonna use a pencil for this, I think, because we just want to transfer this form or this design as closely as we can. Of course, one good way to do that to make sure that we get it even is we're just going to fold this in half. We're basically going to do the same thing we just did. We're just in a more permanent form. And we'll fold this over just like we did before. And oh, this is the wrong pencil. There we go. Okay, so now we're just going to carefully, as closely as we can, with my head on camera. Not really. Okay, good. Just follow. He's not talking because he's focusing. Follow the pattern that you already made as closely as you can. That's not too bad. So now, just like before, we cut this out. And this is a really good way. Let's say you have a, like a standard pattern for something that you make a lot of, and you want to do something repeatable, like, like a hairline or a beard or something. This is a really good way of getting a pattern for that permanently. So now, here we are. We have a nice, even pattern that we can just use repeatedly. So that's it for the actual paper towel part. Now let me show you how we use this. In this case, and it would be the same with it's fur or fleece. Let's go to the wide cam again. Thank you, Indy. So now what we're gonna do, we've got this, we're just gonna put it on the surface here. Let's see if we can put a couple of pins through it. It might be a little tough because this is cardstock. The size, it kind of increased a little bit in size from one to the other, so that's okay. See if we can poke a pin through the cardstock just to hold it in place. Yeah, we should be good. There we go. That looks about right. Try and, make sure everything's aligned, make the center line up and all that stuff. And now that we've got that, just recentering it here. Make sure we're all good. So how you end up using this really depends on what you're doing. In this case, since I'm going to be shaving down an area to put fleece into, all I'm going to do is mark this with pins. And this is where you want to use a lot of pins. I'm not even sure I have enough. Ouch, I have enough. I have a whole box. There's more, but in this case, this is how we're going to use this. And then after I do this, I'll show what we actually do with the fleece, and I think that'll be it for the tutorial. These are all improvised, folks. Me use a script. That's for people who know what they're doing. not like I have a teleprompter or anything. Literally have a teleprompter on camera at the moment. All right, so you can see where I'm going with this. We're just marking around the circumference. So this has many applications. So it really depends on what you're going to do with it. If you are cutting out a piece of something to put on, this is how you would proceed. You would take this pattern and then make a piece with that pattern. If you were, for example, just coloring something with, like a fabric marker or something, or just drawing something on, like say you've got a puppet with a tattoo or something, this is how you would do that. You would just, mark around where it is. So now that we've got to the top bit, since we basically mirrored the eyebrow mech, I'm just going to use that as the guide, which makes sense. But again, you do whatever is appropriate to your build. Might be running out of pins here, we'll see. You get the idea. Because this is fur, I don't have to be super duper specific. There's a little bit of flexibility here. Yeah, so I am going outside the pattern a little bit here. That is specific to this build. Because I'm following the plastic of the eyebrow mech rather than the pattern. Just FYI, in case you're wondering. Okay, that's good enough to get an idea. So now we can take the pattern off. And there we have our area all marked out where we're going to shave that fur down. So once the fur is shaved down, which we won't be doing on stream, or we will be doing on stream, we will be doing on this tutorial video. What we're gonna do is just make the piece that will go in there using the same pattern. So let me grab the fleece here. So this is the same color fleece as the fingers. And this is what the eye region and the nose are going to be made from. In this case, we want to make sure that the fleece is going sideways, so that way across the direction. And let me grab a marker that is closer to this. It isn't going to be super visible, but hopefully will be visible enough on stream or on the video. Now we're just going to trace around our pattern. In this case, what I think I'm going to end up doing is ladder stitching this after I shave down the fur. But what you do, of course, will be whatever your build requires. So if you're adding a beard, for example, or a hairline, however you normally would put your wig, or a face wig in the case of a beard. Whatever your preferred method for that is. So there we go. Now we just cut that out. Some scissor music, if you please. And This I may trim down a little bit, we'll see. Never be afraid to make adjustments, that's the other thing. Nothing is set in stone. You will often have to adapt to whatever your current situation is. Because we're working with soft materials and we're doing multiple sort of generations of transfer, things can change. So just like in real life, be adaptable. Okay, here we go. So now that we've got our nice goggle-shaped piece cut out there, then once this gets shaved down, all I'm going to be doing is putting this in there and then ladder stitching it all the way around. And there we go. That's it. So there we go. That is basic paper towel patterning and how you can make a very simple pattern, but very quickly. And there's a lot you can do with this. Anything that you have to apply to a puppet that's already had a kind of a base made. You can pattern like the profile of an ear, for example, like anything that you have to attach externally that you don't have an existing pattern for, or that you want to change up. Let's say you want a beard of a different shape or a hairline of a different shape. This is a really good way to do that quickly and easily on the fly. So there you go. Thank you for joining me, and stay tuned, of course, for all of the things, OperationPuppet.com, and there will be more tips, tricks, and tutorials. And we're out. Okay. Chat, welcome back. Yes, thank you, Indies Keep. Yeah, so that went pretty well. I think that'll edit down relatively easily, as opposed to the last one. That's one of the reasons I haven't did the last one yet, was that thing got messy. The Frankie who lives in my head is not pleased with how that editing went. Thank you, Chef de Bud. Yes, and anyway, nice to see everybody who I wasn't able to immediately respond to on chat. Now we can swear horribly. Yeah. So what we're gonna do now, I mean, we're just gonna keep going with this because we're ready to go. We're ready to start shaving that down. Get the Shaved Wookie. Hey, is the Shaved Wookie still around as a website? It used to be. Wasn't that the I'm thinking of Wikipedia. Well, thank you. I try. I do try. It edits cleaner. And I got some tricks, you know. But yeah, we're just gonna start getting ye olde razor out here, and I think we're gonna start with scissors. We'll just start trimming some of this down a bit with scissors, and then we're gonna get the clippers out and start shaving that down. But yes, to repeat, I did plan to announce this. I should have announced at the top, actually. We tried to behave and not distract you during the tutorial. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I know it seems a bit crass to shoot a tutorial video while I'm live streaming, but again, my time is limited, so it's just a good way of making efficient use of the time I have available. And it's helpful for everybody, I think. And it's a nice way of being able to sort of take something from the live stream and sort of say, okay, here's a clearly defined thing, right? Anyway, yes, build, stream, pride, build. So for those of you who are new, who don't know, since I started doing this professionally, every year in June, I do a special puppet build that is themed appropriately. And then the proceeds from the sale of that puppet get donated to an appropriate charity. And I've chosen different charities in different years. But this year, like I said, for obvious reasons, Rainbow Railroad is the choice. So that will be next week. we will be doing the Pride Build 2025. And of course, now more than ever, that it's kind of a special thing. So yeah, this tutorial was filmed before a live studio audience, you know. Maybe I'll grab Frankie and shoot that, because that's pretty good. That's, you know, I'd do like a 1970s kind of like, you know, ABC Productions Presents kind of intro for that. Or was it like All in the Family or something was introduced, that film before a live studio audience? It was that kind of thing. I like that, it's good. Okay, let's get on with the puppet building. Because I want to get through this today. I want to try, I mean, my goal is to have the Sasquatch here finished tomorrow. Now that I look at it, I'm not sure, well, it's not too bad. I just want to make sure this is relatively even. You know, kind of relative to the overall puppet. It's not bad. I think this can come up a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. This part, for just the shaving the fur down, we can be a little sloppy, because I'm going to come in from the pins. I'm not going to you know, try and go outside there, so we have a little bit of room for error. So I'm just going to trim some of this down to start with. Now, the trick here is just getting a furry brow. It is indeed, yeah. So we are going to put a fleece eyelid, just like most of my builds. I'm going to put a fleece eyelid, and then there's going to be like a fur brow over top of that. But the nice part about doing this style of brow mech that doesn't rely on having the ping pong balls is I can put any kind of eyes in there I want. In fact, let me see if I can give a little preview of what I'm thinking here. Again, this could change, because that's the nice part about this, is you can change your mind. So once this is in, and remember, this is going to be kind of sunk down into it, because this is going to be we're shaving the fur down. Like, let me see if I can do a little design work live, because originally what I planned to do was eyes kind of similar to the monster we did last week with the glossy black, and they were going to be this size. But that's really big. And of course, once we get the brow on here, that's going to, you know, add quite a lot. But this is way too big, I think. So what I really want is a kind of large bead. I just so happen to have some. So what does this size look like? Ooh, that's actually not too bad. So once... that's got potential. Right, so you have to think of it like, you have to kind of use your imagination here a bit and imagine there being a brow here that's really going to add to the personality of it. So it's gonna have a really good, like, surprise look, right? That's actually pretty darn good, like, already. That's kind of perfect. Okay. Easy, that was solved. What I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do yet is the nose. The nose is going to be kind of trapezoidal and lay on top a little bit. So it's going to come down kind of like that and go down probably to about here or so. So it's going to be kind of there. That I'm still mulling. I better mull quickly because I gotta finish this tomorrow. So work smarter, not harder. Absolutely. Okay. One thing I want to do is, this is dangerous. I'm very carefully going to reach inside. What? Look at all of the pins. Are you kidding? Why would you do that? Because the foam has kind of folded up here, and I want to make sure that we're getting the actual shape of the head. Right? So we get this evenly. Okay, that's much better. Okay, good. Whew. That could have gone really, really bad because it's like a little torture chamber in there right now, right? We've made a little tiny Iron Maiden. All right, so I can see right now that based on the level of the brow mech, the level of those pins is off. We're gonna bring that down. I wanna play this a little conservative just to make sure we don't go too far. Again, it always takes stuff away. You can very rarely add stuff. So let's be careful. The pin outline looks like a pair of snow goggles. Yes, absolutely. Well, that's kind of the idea, is that this is kind of a goggle shape, right? As I said before, it's kind of inspired by the Planet of the Apes style design. Right? And then the nose, let me just see if I can rough out a really quick. Oh, you know what? Huh. Actually. So here's one of the Puppet Builder's secret weapons. These are makeup sponges. You've seen this before. I've done this before. But this is, when you look at this. These are junk scissors, so don't panic. This isn't too far from the shape that I want, so if I just square off the bottom here. Whoa, these scissors are rough. Let me grab my foam scissors. This is just a really quick mock-up. This is not how the finished product is gonna go. And now I'm gonna cut like a slice out of this. All right, so we've got kind of that shape. This is really uneven, like don't take this as... But again, we can just sort of carve up the foam a little bit, and just mock it up and see what we think. The finished one will obviously be much tidier than this. But, see, that's too small. That's smaller than what I want. But you could, this is kind of where I'm going with the nose idea, is that's better. Because this is kind of how the nose is going to go. It's going to be wider though. It's going to be kind of like that wide. Anyway, like I said, still working on that. I'm going to do is like carve foam, and then I'll probably just lay the fleece over top of it. But for now, we got to get the shaving. Shave your Sasquatch regularly. You don't want to let that build up. So the tricky part here is the center seam is right here. Do not cut that. Be very, very careful. This is equally true for when we're using scissors and when we're using the clippers. The clippers could also slice through the thread. You don't want that. So I'm just getting rid of some of the long pieces. The goal is to shave it right down to the netting. It is very warm in here. Should either up the air conditioner or possibly open the window. What's the temperature outside right now? 19 degrees, it's not too bad. Probably cooler out there than it is in here. This little room heats up really fast. Like I said, I'm not going to go too far. I'm not going to go right down to the pins because I want to make sure I can even this up. We're just getting rid of some of the bulk. There's a lot of shampoo when they shower. Yes, exactly. This is why trolls never shower. That's why that happens. In case you were wondering. Told you Frankie's never far. All right. We can get the clippers out momentarily. I'm going to open the window first, though. It is uncomfortably warm in here. Always want to do the Bugs Bunny monster hairdresser routine. I'm doing this. Okay. Let me open the window. Oh, more light. Oh no. It's gonna throw the camera off. Oh well. Trust me, I need this. In fact, I'm gonna turn the fan around. Hey. And actually blow some air in for a change. You should see the fur start to a little bit. Okay. And now I'm gonna get the clippers out and start shaving. There's gonna be fur everywhere. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is get the clippers out and we're gonna start shaving this right down to the netting. I wonder if I can go to the top cam and actually, yeah, that's not too bad. So yeah, so what I've done is I've just cut away a lot of the bulk length here. And now we're gonna take the clippers and start shaving this right down to the netting. So that means the guard comes off. We're going bare metal on this. This is gonna get a bit noisy, so FYI. I do get my makeup sponges on Amazon. I haven't got them in a while because they come in packs, right? So I don't need to buy them very often. But yeah, that is generally where I get that kind of thing. You can buy them in bulk for cheap. You go to dollar stores as well and get them there. And like I said, I'm being conservative here. I'm not gonna go right over to the pins because I wanna make sure this is all even, so. Okay. So I can show you this, hopefully, in the top cam. So the fur is, you know, stuck into a backing, which is like a netting back here. That's what we're getting down to. That's where we want to end up, is on this netting here. This is just this is effectively the skin to where the fleece or the fur is going to go. I gotta be careful here because this is actually where the hole, you see it starting right there, kinda. The hole for the brow mech is right there, so I want to be careful to not widen that too much. But little tip here, if you have something like this, obviously there's going to be a lot of loose fur around, And that could be getting in the way, particularly if you're going to put like glue or something in there. You want to make sure that you get all of the fur off. What I use is one of these little air blowers. This obviously I got for working with computers. This is rather than the cans of compressed air, which are like horrible for the environment. This is just our USB rechargeable thing, and you can just well, of course I turned it off. There we go. There we go. We just sort of blow all that stuff away and get it out of the way. Make it the rest of the room's problem, you know? But now, I just want to sort of have a look and see how this is going to sit in there. Oh, that's going to look really good. It's kind of hard to show this, but let's see, maybe the top cam can pick it up. If you just look at like the interface between where the fur is and where the fleece is going to go, once that gets ladder stitched, that's going to sort of pull the two edges in together. That's going to look really good. That's going to, yeah, that's going to look exactly like I want. Excellent. I like it. Okay, let's keep going. So this is where I have to be real careful. I know I'm kind of off camera here, sorry. Where can you get one of those? I don't actually remember where I got this. It was probably, unfortunately, on Amazon as well. But I know that computer places will sell stuff like this. That is literally what it's for. It's not a compressed air blower, it's just an air blower that, a rechargeable air gun kind of thing. You could also just use the hair dryer, you know, for that kind of thing. Turn the heating element off if you can. That's enough info for me. Yeah. I am being very careful because right here is the center. Yeah, be real careful with that. It's funny, it actually helps if I look in the camera because that's something I'm not sure a lot of people are aware of. Maybe this is worth doing a little to the camera kind of chat. When you're trying to get things even, particularly when it comes to like eye focus and stuff like that, if you're aligning the pupils, it helps to not only look at it, you know, IRL, like head on, but if you've got a camera or even a mirror, that can really, because your eyes and the lens of a camera, the optics are different. So you will see things in a different way. Things will look quite a bit different in the camera lens than they will if you're just looking at it head on. So that's often what I'll do. I always have, you know, my studio camera set up like this one here. This is always just here. So I always will like take a puppet that I'm working on and just like stick it in front of the camera and just see the evenness. Does it look even in the camera versus does it look even in real life? And make some adjustments based on that because they will often look surprisingly different, like to a fairly large degree. So that's a little tip there. If you can, even take your phone out and just look through the camera there, right? Because the optics, like I said, literally the way the light travels is different in a camera lens than it is in your eye. So little tip there for getting stuff even, which I know I'm the last person that should talk about that because I never get anything even, but it helps. It gets you in that direction. All right, carry on with the shaving. What I need, particularly now that we're over halfway through, I need more coffee. You know what? I am going to get more coffee, and then we're going to take a little coffee break. We're going to hang out for a second, and then continue shaving the Sasquatch. I mean, the jokes write themselves. Okay, don't go anywhere. I will be right back, and I will leave the chat up. I'm sorry I'm distracting you from your game. You know, these are always archived on the PeerTube server. If you want to catch up, don't worry, you're not going to miss anything. It's always going to be there. I also need to cut my hair again. Yeah, me too. Ba-doom-tsh. So yeah, the thing about the Pride build is I wasn't actually sure, because of just how the schedule worked out, I wasn't actually sure if I would have time to do a Pride build this year, which would be a real shame for many obvious reasons, but it just may not have been feasible for this year, and it just kind of fell into place at the last minute. So that's good. It is very good. I even have all the fabric I need and everything, which is unusual. So yeah, I'm going to do a couple of humans next week, and one of them is going to be a non-specific gendered character that will be in the color of the trans flag. And I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Seeing someone shaving a Sasquatch is very distracting, I'll bet. You know, if you're going to see that on anywhere, you're going to see it on the internet, right? One shaven Sasquatch coming up. It's a good stream. It feels, it's got good energy today. I don't know why. I slept okay last night. That's probably why. That's usually the determining factor, is how did I sleep last night? I realized, I'm just looking at the camera, I realized that, so the eyeliner thing, in case you're wondering, yes, for covering goth, you know, but I spent from, oh gosh, age 16 to about 27 or so, I wouldn't even leave the house without at least eyeliner, and a lot of that time was like full makeup every day. I don't quite have that amount of effort in me anymore, but I've realized that one of the things that's happened, like I used to try and get my makeup perfect, right? but since I've aged, well, I ain't pretty no more. So I gotta sort of, things change, things move around, gravity happens. And so now my eyeliner actually looks better if I don't try to keep it perfect, if I actually smudge it a little bit and get a little bit of gradient happening, get a little bit of that Uncle Fester thing going on, right? That's better than trying to get it perfect. Perfect looks wrong on my face now. You know, imperfect is the way to go with that, which is a lesson of some sort. I don't know, I'm making stuff up now. Anyway, we should probably get back to shaving the Sasquatch. I'm almost through this. I didn't have much coffee left. I need to make more, but this is literally a full pot. Clearly, I don't need more. I should probably not make more. Lozenge time. Okay, back to shaving the Sasquatch. Here we go. Shave your Wookiee, yes. I'm not wrong, right? There was or is a Star Wars site of some description called the Shaven Wookiee. I have a very clear memory of that. I haven't looked in years, so. If they turn into right-wing trolls, don't blame me. I had to bring up my formal golf wear for a wedding. Remembered how braided out my hair and beard is gone. Yeah, I know, right? This is what I'm learning. It's like as I'm kind of re-embracing my gothiness. It's like you gotta work with what you've got now, right? Don't try and be like you were years ago. Try and like adapt, do something new, do something that you haven't done before. So but you can still do it. Age is immaterial. Okay, I do want to shave this down a little bit, but I gotta be real careful to not clip the threads on the center line here. We're gonna live dangerously. We're gonna fly close to the sun here. If I find the pictures, I'll post in Discord. Please do. All right. Let's see. I don't think we're too bad. Now what I want to do, I want to take all of these pins out and then I want to pin on the actual applique and true it up and get it even and then finish the shaving. Again, this is one of those, there's no hard and fast rules. You just got to kind of make this up as you go along. So that's what I'm doing. Should probably get the air blower out again. There's a whole lot of loose fur coming off. As somebody who likes to dress more formally. Summer is challenging, let me tell you, because I hate wearing shorts, despite the fact that I'm wearing some right now. When I go out, I hate wearing shorts. Finding, you know, heat appropriate stuff to wear that is still on the formal side. Can be a challenge. Ghostbusters jumpsuit on the 4th of July. And wear the black suit Ghostbusters 2 style. Oh man. I can't even imagine. Well, I mean, you know, as an 80s goth, I've worn some very stupid things in the summer. Okay. He's got 3 power levels. I can never dial it in right. Okay, how are we looking? Not too bad. So let's see here. Yeah, that slightly differently aligned from how we had the original pins. This looks more even to me. Yeah, that's gonna look good. This is also easier to kind of, because it's fabric, right? We're kind of laying it in there a little bit. The cardstock doesn't want to conform, as it were. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's mark that out. In fact, let's put a couple pins in the actual fleece to make sure we hold it in place. That's what a smart person would do. Yeah, see what I'm actually doing is I'm looking at the alignment of the horizontal here, right? Because that's what everything's kind of going to end up getting based off of. Every time I post pictures, usually on Instagram, regrettably, and I showed the stand part of this, which is just a piece of an old cat tree. Or not an old cat tree, it's actually a piece of, actually no, it is an old cat tree. But it's a piece we didn't use for the one that we had. And I realized it won't make a very good puppet stand because it's a good height, it's padded, you know, it's just a standy uppy thing I can put a puppet around. I always get somebody on, usually Instagram, going, is that about a cat tree? Yep. You don't have to go out and get some kind of special dealie. You can just Use what you got. This is a good example of like, don't be afraid to make adjustments as you go, right? It's often necessary and wise. Am I completely blocking it? Not completely, but partially. This is always the challenge with live streaming work. I just get into it, you know, like I'm working. Okay, let's go with that. Yeah, okay. Oop. One's kind of holding on there. There we go. Okay. There we are. That's adjusted now for evenness. So I don't know if you can hear, I am occasionally kind of pushing up against the pin, and that causes a little kind of sound. That's where you know that's where your limit is. Don't hold it there though, because you know it's literally metal blades. But that's a good way to kind of judge how far are you going. We're actually getting very close here to being ready to go. I am going relatively slow and careful just because I want to make sure this looks okay. So. Got it wrong again. It's 3, 1, 1. All right. Just have a look here. Let's see. Basically, what I want to do is get a relatively cleared area where I can start stitching, which is not going to be fun, and I will not be doing on stream. But that's all I'm really doing is I'm clearing a space, A, to have the fleece kind of sink down into the surface, and B, so I'll be able to stitch it on. That's the goal. We need a bit more over here. All right, so what I really need to do is deal with this area in the middle here that I've been avoiding. This could be where it all goes horribly wrong. I hope you're paying attention. All right, that's not too bad. That's as close as I'm daring to get. Maybe we can go to the top cam here for a close-up. So, right there's the center line right there. It's pretty far down. I don't want to go any farther than that in fear of cutting the thread that's holding it together. So, it's not too bad. We got a good area of clearance there, I think. Yeah, okay. So, time to sit down again, old man. Where are we at here? 11:42. That's pretty good. That's not a bad place to call it. Well, that was a good stream. Yeah, so next I'm gonna start stitching that eye thing in and seeing how it goes. I decided I will stitch it rather than glue it. Gluing it, you got one shot, right? stitching it. If things aren't looking right, I can either adjust or I can just pull the stitches out and try again. You've got more flexibility with stitching. It just takes longer and is much harder, but I think it'll be worth the effort. So there we go. Another one in, as it were, the can. You know what I forgot? I just realized it's okay. There are backups. I forgot to hear. I meant to start recording locally as well. I'm not currently recording locally now. Thankfully, I can download the VOD from either Twitch or PeerTube. And so can you from PeerTube, FYI. If you ever wanted to save anything that's hosted on the PeerTube server, direct downloads are supported. There's a little download button right underneath it all. So there we go. I'll probably miss next week's stream because it's a public holiday. Visiting my mom. Oh, nice. Oh, no worries. Like I said, all of the streams are always archived on the PeerTube server. So there we go. Okay, cool. We got it done, and we got another tutorial shot. I haven't, like I said, I haven't even edited the last one yet, so I got 2 in the hopper. Hashtag content, I guess, is always good. This weekend, I hope to do some game streaming. I wanted to do some last week, and it just didn't end up. Honestly, I was just like this tired, taking it easy. We will see. There may be some game streaming on the Pixels and Puppets channels this weekend. And if not, next week, once again, is the Pride build for this year. It's a special one. So hopefully you'll be able to tune in for that. If not, you'll watch it in the VOD. I will, of course, be posting pictures. So there we go. Thank you very much, all of y'all. As always, a pleasure to see you. And I hope you have a lovely weekend. And I will hopefully see you next week.